ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to Russia has come to an end, but during the visit, bonhomie and camaraderie were on full display between the two leaders. From warm handshakes and bear hugs to breaking bread together, the deepening of India and Russia's ties were evident. During the bilateral summit, Prime Minister used the stage to give the message of peace from Moscow. He categorically stated that peace dialogue cannot go on with bombs breaking out here and there and guns and bullets, and solution to conflicts can't be found on the battlefields. While sharing the stage with Putin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also unequivocally condemned the attack on a school in Ukraine and looked him in the eye and conveyed to him that it was heart-wrenching to see innocent children die. Listen in to Prime Minister Modi.
पिछले 40-50 साल से भारत आतंकवाद को झेल रहा है।
मुझे खुशी हुई कि यूक्रेन के विषय में हम दोनों अपने अपने विचार की चर्चा कर पाए, लेकिन उसमें भी जब मासूम बच्चों की कत्ल होती है तब हृदय छलनी हो जाता है। लेकिन मैं ये भी जानता हूं कि युद्ध के मैदान में समाधान संभव नहीं होते। बम, बंदूक और गोलियों के बीच समाधान और शांति वार्ताएं सफल नहीं होती हैं और हमने वार्ता के माध्यम से ही शांति के रास्ते अपनाने होंगे।
Not only did the bilateral meeting conclude successfully, but Prime Minister Modi was conferred the highest Russian civilian honor, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, which was awarded by Russian President Vladimir Putin. But the opposition is busy slamming Modi by hurling the Papa ne war rukwa di jai. They are also asking when Prime Minister Modi will visit Manipur. Listen in to the war of words.
ये सब सवाल उठते हैं। युद्ध रोकने में मैं युद्ध रोकूंगा, मेरे वजह से युद्ध रुका है, वो सब दावा कर सकते हैं।
हम लोगों ने प्रधानमंत्री जी को ये कहा था कि उनको मणिपुर जरूर जाना चाहिए।
We want to ask this question: Who was benefited by the cheap Russian oil? Will the Prime Minister care to answer?
Papa has the power to stop war between Ukraine and Russia, but in Modi 3.0, just in this year, there are 7 terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir.
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Dr. Ajay Alok, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at ORF, Ameeque Jamei, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. But my first question goes to Sanjay Jha. And Sanjay Jha, the Congress Party actually raised the issue. Well, we seem to have lost Sanjay Jha, but Ameeque Jamei, the Congress Party, the opposition raised the issue of the fact that there were people who had left India, gone and joined the Russian army, and that there were no jobs here. The Prime Minister has spoken to the President of Russia and has got the release of some of these people who had joined the Russian army. Isn't that a success that you see? Isn't the fact that the Prime Minister has taken the message of peace and told President Putin that amicable situations can't be found in the battlefield? Yet, the opposition, is it just in a mood to target the Prime Minister as if the election has never ended?
देखिए नविका मैम, सोवियत यूनियन के समय से लेकर आज ये जो इंडो रशिया का जो हमारा फॉरेन डिप्लोमेसी है एंड विदेश नीति का ये सबसे निचला दौर है कि जब विजिट करना हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी गए हैं, उनको सम्मान मिले, भारत के लिए बहुत गर्व का विषय है। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि ईरान, रशिया, चाइना, पाकिस्तान एक ऐसा एक्सिस डेवलप हुआ है जिसमें रशिया ने बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले किया है और भारत को कहीं न कहीं रशिया ने भी किनारे फेंकने का पूरा कोशिश किया इस पूरे मामले में। दूसरा जो हमारा इकोनॉमिक कॉपरेशन है, ईरान हमसे ऑयल एंड गैसेस के मामले में 51 लाख करोड़ का जो है वो इंपोर्ट करता है हमसे, और हम लोग करते हैं तकरीबन मान के चलिए कि 51,000 करोड़। तो सवाल ये है कि जब पूरे दुनिया में बहुत सारे बड़े मुल्कों का रशिया पर प्रतिबंध है, उसके बावजूद भी जो भारत से जो एक्सपोर्ट होना चाहिए था वो नरेंद्र मोदी के रिजीम में वो नीचे गया है, और रशिया तो वहीं के वहीं खड़ा हुआ है। तो सबसे बड़ा विषय ये है कि हम इकोनॉमिक जो कॉपरेशन है, भारत उसमें पीछे गया है। हाँ, प्रति बैरल हमें $50 में हमें ऑयल तो मिलता है। ये जो 3 बड़े कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं भारत के, उनको तो कुछ फायदा हमें नजर आ रहा है, लेकिन भारत की जनता को इतने कम ऑयल प्राइसेस में, $50 के प्राइसेस में कोई फायदा हमें दिखा नहीं है। तो सवाल ये कि मोदी जी क्या लेकर आ रहे हैं। ठीक है, भाषण अच्छी बात है कि आप जाइए, आपने अच्छी बात है, आपने यूक्रेन में इंटरवेंशन किया, आपने फलस्तीन के मामले में, गाजा में आपने जंग रुकवा दी, बहुत ताकतवर। हम भारत का प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो ताकतवर ही होगा, वो तो कहीं भी रुकवा देगा। हमारा सिर्फ ये कहना है कि वो भी अच्छी बात है।
ऐसी कोई बड़ी बात नहीं की
भाई वो कहते
हैं। अजय आलोक जी, पापा ने वॉर जो रुकवाई है वो कोई भी रुकवा सकता था, ये विपक्ष का कहना था। और दूसरा कि मोदी जी कुछ लेकर नहीं आ रहे हैं, गए हैं, भाषण दिया है, वापस आ रहे हैं, बट इंडिया इज आइसोलेटेड, द डिप्लोमेसी हैजंट वर्कड। हाउ डू यू रिस्पॉन्ड?
वेल नविका जी, आई एम रियली सरप्राइज्ड ये लोग मोदी जी को पापा बोलने लगे। बहुत अच्छी बात है, ऑन लाइटर नोट दो। आई एम रियली सरप्राइज्ड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डिप्लोमेसी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द समाजवादी पार्टी। डज ही अंडरस्टैंड what relation Iran has to do with India and how we have neutralized Pakistan in acquiring its ports and what kind of a relationship we have? एक तरफ आप कहते हैं कि रशिया के साथ सबसे निचले दौर की हम डिप्लोमेसी में हैं, और एक तरफ कहते हैं कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों का सम्मान बढ़ गया जब सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान से मोदी जी को सम्मानित किया। Don't forget, it's not Narendra Modi, it's Prime Minister of India who's being bestowed upon such a big honor, and it's honor for every Indian. This was the same Congress party in 2014 when this Prime Minister came and assumed office. हाँ, मोदी को डिप्लोमेसी कौन सिखाएगा, हमारे ही पास आना पड़ेगा। That was Manishankar Iyer, who went to Pakistan and said, मोदी को हटाने में हमारी मदद कीजिए. That was the lowest level of diplomacy, what had been practiced by the Congress party, the former party which ruled this country for 60 years. And this is the new diplomacy, where the whole world was watching today, whole world, because there was a NATO 75th birthday celebration going on in Washington, D.C. And there was a statement from US spokesperson that yes, we expect Prime Minister Modi to convey to Putin that the war should end according to the UN Peace Charter program. This is the expectation of the world from Narendra Modi, and here is the expectation, and here is the statement from my opposition.
Well,
I don't understand this kind of trivial politics.
Sushant Sari,
your own country's
has
dignity
the
is lowered
opposition
down.
failed to come out of its election mode? Have they not figured out that elections are over? On the issue of diplomacy, Ameeque Jamei पूछ रहे हैं कि भाई पापा क्या लेकर आएंगे वहां से? What have we got? Even though we've got oil from Russia at lower rates, what's the big deal? People haven't got the benefit of it. You know, this, that, and many other things. So do you think the BJP government, the NDA government, hasn't been able to put forth its diplomatic interests in front of the opposition well enough?
No, Navika, I think it's the nature of politics. The opposition is going to, take pot shots at the government. They're entitled to do it. If they were to do it on substantive issues, one could understand it. But, the kind of stuff Mr. Jamei is raising, he clearly betrays ignorance about how energy economics works, how oil economics work, how pricing is done, what the taxation structures which are put, why are taxes put, partly because governments need money for all sorts of other things. It's a complex issue. But the important thing is that I wonder if Mr. Jamei knows also about the fact that oil is India's largest export, or perhaps the second largest export. And what is that oil? That oil is a lot of the Russian oil which we get, which we then process and we sell. So we add a value to that oil and we are selling it, and the country is earning foreign exchange on that. I don't know if that's bad diplomacy, good diplomacy. Yesterday, somebody from the Congress party was saying that, if you are exporting, then it is only some private company which is earning money. That means that no private company in India should export anything, only public sector companies should export. If that is the kind of economic logic you are going to use, and that is the kind of political point scoring you want to do, it doesn't make sense. Now, I can understand that you have a principled stand and where you say that, look, should Mr. Modi have gone to Russia, not gone to Russia, etc., etc. That's a political point, and I have absolutely no problems in people having positions. Whether I agree with them or not that's besides the point. But criticism has to be of a substantive nature, not of a very puerile kind of a nature which is happening. So, for example, this whole thing that Modi stopped the war, it was never a question of stopping the war. It was a very high intensity conflict taking place. Indian students were caught. We used our political and diplomatic equities with both Ukraine as well as Russia to get a pause in the war so that we could pull out our students. Now, if that is an objection and that is a failure of diplomacy, I don't know how you define a success.
So respond to that, Sanjay Jha. Respond to that, Sanjay Jha, because the Congress party seems to be reveling out of making a joke. There were lives that were saved. They were our students. You and I both have Indian students' interests at heart, I hope. So why is this being made into such a joke? Arey, Papa ne to war rukwa di thi, ab Papa kya ye kara denge? Where there is a gain, there is a gain. For example, Indians in the Russian army, the Prime Minister has been able to get an agreement that yes, they will be sent back. Exactly what was raised by the Congress party yesterday. But I don't see anybody from the Congress coming out and saying, great, our Prime Minister has been able to do this. This is exactly what we were demanding. Have we lost our grace in our opposition?
Navika, I personally don't like to criticize foreign policy at all. So I'll tell you my 2 bits, and I tend to agree with a large part of what Sushant mentioned, although we very often differ. I just believe that today, strategically, I think for India, the biggest foreign policy challenge is to handle this no-limits partnership between Russia and China, for the simple reason that we are extremely dependent on Russia for advanced technology, and we all know the huge component of defense imports from Russia. On the other hand, can we deny that China remains a huge threat at the borders and is our real geopolitical rival? And I therefore would like to kind of implore at the moment that when we are discussing foreign policy, we need to be a little bipartisan and not be petty. I believe for India at this point of time, a matter of great concern ought to be in terms of, I think, the China's ability, because China is sitting in the driver's seat where Russia is concerned. And therefore, the biggest worry...
I'm so glad, late in the day, but welcome step coming in from Sanjay Jha when he says foreign policy should be bipartisan. Well, I do hope, even though your situation with the Congress party is ambiguous, suspended, not suspended, maybe you can convince a few people there that when the Prime Minister of India is traveling abroad, maybe, just maybe, they can refrain from taking pot shots and hope for a more bipartisan support to India's foreign policy. Well, we leave it at that, even as Prime Minister walks home with the highest civilian honor that Russia has bestowed on him, and that is a proud moment for each one of us as Indians. Thank you very much to all my panelists, and thank you viewers for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, 9 p.m. on the same channel, Times Now, with the same show, the Newshour.